welcome to the Healer Within podcast, where I share with you all of my opinions on health and healing. This is my own personal journey, so please know that none of the information shared is meant as treatment, to diagnose, or to be used as a substitute for any medical advice. I ask that you please seek out a medical professional for all of your health-related concerns, and remember that you are responsible for your own well-being. So let's dive in. Hello and welcome back so much to the space. Today I'll be sharing with you my birth story, and to join me on navigating through that entire process is my husband, Michael.
Hello.
Hey! So just because we have probably two totally different perspectives on what happens, and because I was in such a great deal of pain, a lot of things that maybe I even forgot or missed during the process. But now we have a beautiful 10-day-old baby.
10-day-old.
She's 10 days old. Which
Absolute is beautiful, perfect baby.
Absolutely wild. It was so magical and so beautiful, and I just had no idea how amazing it would be to be her mom. You know, it's like one of those things that you don't really understand to a great degree until you're experiencing it. And I just wasn't really sure, how all of that was going to go for me mentally, emotionally. But it's something that has felt incredibly just natural and magical and whole. There's definitely a great, deep sense of wholeness since she has blessed us with her presence in our lives. And we are so grateful. So yeah, let's dive in. Start at the beginning. So,
about 9 months ago.
About 9 months ago.
So, on April 21st, 9 p.m. is whenever your contractions started.
Yes. And they were fairly uncomfortable, and I've never experienced birth before. I'm a first-time mom. So I had no idea what kind of pain to expect. And all the videos that you see online, so if you go on YouTube, social media, people will post partial videos, and they all look so serene. You'll see videos of people having babies, and they're smiling or laughing. I don't know. I just thought perhaps that my experience could be similar to that. And then I also read a lot of books about hypnobirthing and your orgasmic birth and just a bunch of things that probably aren't necessarily as realistic as we would like them to be.
Yeah.
Especially for a first-time mom, so, if someone first time giving birth.
Yeah, on those videos online, you see sometimes their whole family's around the pool, they're smiling, pulling the baby out of them, just seems so serene and magical going on, where in reality there was probably, if they have their whole family there, they have multiple children, maybe 8 hours leading up to it. If they didn't have any children, maybe 20 hours leading up to it. That was pretty much fully awake, no sleep, up to that point. For us, it's a little bit different than that. But going to where you're at now, where you were on the 21st at night, what was that pain level in your mind from a 1 to a 10?
So on the 21st, I would probably say it was discomfort. So I didn't necessarily feel like it was incredibly painful on the 21st. It was just really bad period cramps. And since I don't ever have period cramps, it was fairly I would say a 3.
In comparison with the pain level on the 24th of the morning time, where was it at?
A 9. So if the highest scale is 10,
yeah,
I would put me at a 9.5.
Yeah.
Only because while I was pushing her out, when we'll get to that later, but I was just thinking I could handle more pain. So I would say a 9.5.
Okay. So where was that 3 at in comparison with that 9.5? At a 1 instead?
Oh yeah, at a 1 instead. So if we're thinking about at the time, before I knew what it was going to feel like pushing, I was like, oh yeah, solid. Oh, hi baby. A solid 3. But in comparison with the 9.5, a 1.
Nice.
For sure.
So on Sunday night, 9 p.m., contractions start, but they weren't frequent enough to even time. And that evening, we were able just to go to sleep.
Yes, I was able to definitely sleep through the night through the contractions, because that's one big thing that the healthcare providers will always like say and suggest, or like just try to ignore them until you can't. So I was ignoring them, and then the sun came up and contractions stopped, and apparently that's super common. So I was kind of talking back and forth with my doula, just letting her know, like, yo, my contractions started, yo, they stopped. And so that was the 22nd. You were working
Yep.
from home, and my contractions pretty much didn't happen throughout that day. And then as the sun began to set, they picked back up, and they were a little stronger that time
Yeah.
and a little bit more frequent.
Yeah. They're a little bit more frequent. They started off about 10 to 15 minutes apart for first few hours throughout the night. Around midnight, I think we were able to drift off to sleep for a little bit, and then waking up probably every hour or two until 5 a.m. Then it seemed that every 5 minutes you were having between 45-second to a minute and a half long contractions. And that was the 5 minutes from when they start, not 5 minutes between the end and the start of them. So, right as we had been instructed, like, give us a heads up, that 5 minute mark, that was happening. You let your doula know, and she said, great. She got some of the stuff in order, and she came over. But by the time she came over, what happened?
Yeah, so then the sun was rising, and my contractions stopped again, which is totally normal. So she came over for a little bit, and my pain levels had risen by then as well. So these contractions, the second day, they're a lot stronger. And so she left, and she left all of her things here, and then she came back in that evening, and we practiced um, some like squatting and toilet sitting, just a lot of different things to kind of try to get them to be more frequent or closer together. But they were slowly getting stronger, more uncomfortable. Slowly, stronger, more uncomfortable. To the point where, like, during the contraction, while she was here on the 23rd, right? Or is it the 22nd?
She was here on the 23rd.
Perfect. So
she came back around 5 p.m.
Okay.
We walked with her. We did some stretches and got back into bed around 7 p.m.
Perfect. So, like, when she suggested us to get in bed, she's like, turn the lights off, get in bed, because that helps the contractions along. And it did, because it started hurting even worse. And it got a lot more uncomfortable. And then is that when you started to do the massage gun on my feet?
Correct. We have an old school impact wall WAHL massage gun, and we utilize that on your feet, and you never like it full blast on any part of your body.
I don't.
Until you started having active labor contractions.
So
and
intense.
You wanted it directly pushed as hard as I could into your feet. If I wasn't pushing it as hard as I could, you'd be like, next time, harder.
I would say that. It was just like, can you just as hard as you can, please? It was really helping, like, the counter pressure. At that point, were you doing, because I don't remember exactly, like, the timeline of when things were happening, but you guys were doing at some point the hip squeezes as well. The hip squeezes really helped. And I don't even know, like, when our doula came into the room to assist in the hip squeezes, but I know she was at some point.
I'd say she came in probably around 10 p.m. She came into the room, and then doula and I basically were just swapping each other out between if we were massaging your feet or if we were doing hip squeezes, but we were both doing something on your body actively unless I needed to make coffee or I needed to pee or vice versa. Because at that point, didn't have a lot of sleep, I needed a lot of energy. You had pain and adrenaline keeping you awake.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yes, which is very strong. It's crazy, and because we'd been up all night at that point, essentially. Like, we didn't really get any sleep the night before because my contractions were stronger. So on the 21st, we got to sleep. The 22nd into the 23rd, I didn't sleep very much. And then this is the 23rd going into the 24th, like, no rest. Just a lot of pain, and it was slowly just getting more intense and more intense and more intense. And I just wasn't really sure, like, while it was happening, like, how intense it's supposed to be.
Right. And at that point, me as your husband, I've never seen you in this much pain.
Yeah.
And it's going into about midnight. We've been having you on the bed, trying different positions. We would occasionally put you on all fours, but at that point, like, that would just be comforting, but it would completely stop any contractions from happening.
Yes.
So it's like, all right, do we want to have the comfort, or do we want to move this thing along?
Yes.
So we try to avoid getting you into that position, knowing that it wasn't going to do anything for you. And we did a lot of toilet sitting.
Oh,
and
so
the
bad.
toilet sitting is by far one of the best practices, I would have to say, other than the deep squats.
Oh, gosh,
going into
both
the
those
contractions.
were so bad.
The whenever you would contract and go into the deep squat, that seemed to really move things along quickly. So around midnight, after a couple of hours of the doula and I just hitting you as hard as we could with counter pressure on your feet, on your back, on your hips, I'm looking at you, I'm like, I don't know. I think my wife's like it's gonna come soon. Like, I've never seen her in this much pain before.
Yeah.
So Zool and I decide, let's start filling up the tub to get you inside the tub.
Yeah, because I was, like, yelling for it. I think I was just like, when can I get in the tub? Or, like, when should I get in the tub? Because I didn't know, because I've never been in this much pain before, right? So I'm just like, I'm in a lot of pain. Like, the baby has to be coming, right? Like, you know, like, what's going on? So, like, I just remember, like, also having a difficult time knowing which position I wanted to move in. I definitely was like, please tell me what to do. Like, I really enjoyed it when you guys would just give me very precise instruction. Like, I was just like, yeah, like, tell me anything, anywhere you want me to move, anything you want me to do, I will do that thing. But I just couldn't, like, decide, like, I'm gonna move a certain way. You know, because some people will say, like, oh, it can be really intuitive, or, like, maybe it feels natural, like, you want to maybe just go into a certain position. I did not have that experience. My experience was, I'm in so much pain. If you tell me exactly how you want me to move, I can muster up the strength and the willpower to do that if you tell me what to do. Sure.
I think there was a position you liked. It just wasn't helping.
Oh, the laying down?
Along.
Oh, yeah. If I could have laid down on my left side with a pillow in between my legs for the entirety of the labor, it would have probably lasted, like, an extra day and a freaking half. But because I wasn't having contractions in that position. But that's why I liked it so much. Like, if I laid there, I would feel so comfortable and so at peace. But as soon as I moved at all, contractions. And they were just getting more and more and more intense. And so we filled up the pool.
Yep.
Did I get into the pool?
You did.
For a
you
little
got
bit.
In the pool. We have a limited supply of water, so we didn't fill up the pool too heavily at that point. We did maybe a third of the way to fill up the pool.
Just for, like,
and then you laid in it for about an hour while the doula messaged back and forth with the medical
with
stuff,
the nurse.
With the nurse.
Because we had a nurse coming, and then we had our midwife coming. So the nurse is the midwife's assistant. And she actually came hours before, because again, like, I'm a first time mom, like, I didn't know, like, exactly what level of pain I was in, you know? So, like, sometimes, like, if you go to a birth center, for example, you want to get there, you can't stay there longer than 24 hours, right? So you have to do most of your laboring at home before you would go to a birth center. So you kind of just have to gauge it and know when to go to a birth center. So since we birthed at home, it was like so many hours and so painful. It was just like, well, what do we do? So I was like, call the nurse, tell her to come. Is she coming? So I got into the pool, and was I in the pool when the nurse got here?
No.
No, I had gotten back out.
We were instructed to get you out of the pool and have you lay down and try to sleep, which at that point it was somewhere between midnight and 2:30 in the morning. We're trying to sleep.
But the contractions were so bad.
The contractions were so bad. I, again, very tired. I would fall asleep for 10 seconds, and then I would feel you fidget. I would grab the gun and start massaging your feet.
Yes.
And it gets to a point where you're like, in your head, you're like, I am so tired. I wish I could just sleep. And then you look at your wife, and you're like, but she's just as tired as I am. And she's pushing out a baby right now. All right, suck it up. Suck it up, man. Get back to it. And we did that until about 2:30. Between that, like, we had you alternating from being in bed to being on the toilet.
Yeah.
You started to have bloody show around 1:30 in the morning.
Yes.
That bloody show. We messaged all this stuff over, and then it got to the point where we had you again in bed. It was 2:30 in the morning, and you looked at the doula, and you're like, "Are they going to come?"
I was in so much pain. It was ridiculous, and like, so just to let you guys know, like, it's totally normal. Like, they wait. Like, that is a normal thing. But because I'm a first time mom and I was in a lot of pain, I was just like being like, tell them to come now. But you know, if we would have been in a birth center, that would have been too soon to go in.
And there's a reason that they wait, because, again, if midwife comes and she's here for 12 hours, that's it. Like,
yeah, then you have to transfer. So it's also really important to remember. And something I also like to comment on, something that I realized during my labor, is I understand why a lot of women get epidurals in a hospital, because like, they're not given the chance to like almost freely experience labor. Like, whereas I was given the chance to freely experience labor because I decided to do it at home. But if every 15 to 20 minutes I have someone coming into the hospital room asking me if I want an epidural, eventually you're just gonna say yes, because, well, it's painful and they're annoying because they're constantly asking you. So I feel like they're almost like breaking down like the mother's like will, like, you know, because you're trying to be strong, you know, and then eventually, like, because I can totally see how that would happen. Like, I was thinking about that in my perspective, because it got to a point where I was like, in my head, like, I couldn't really speak at that point, you know, because when it gets to a certain level in your labor, like, you become non-verbal. So, but I was thinking in my head, like, if they would offer me something, I probably would have said yes, but not even because I wanted it. Like, just because, like, it was there, if that makes any sense. So, anyway, so I can understand why a lot of women in hospital end up having the epidural, and I think it's because it's pushed on them a lot. Like, I feel like a lot of the hospital staff might not even have, maybe that's not the right exact verbiage, but it's just understanding, like, when to respect, like, not asking a woman. Like, if she goes into the hospital and says, I don't want this, then don't ask her. Don't ask her, you know, because...
if there had been a button that relieved you of all the pain, would you have pressed it?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, because it wasn't part of the reality, it's possible. Because there was a moment where I thought, like, if the midwife brings gas, I might take it. You know what I mean? Because, like, they do offer, like, the oxide. But again, like, it's just one of those things that you have to discuss with your birth team and, like, my birth partner, which was my husband, that I didn't want that. Because he knew I didn't want that, like, there was no, like, room for anyone to say anything about it. And I had it written down on a piece of paper, like, I do not want this. Because once the pain starts to get really bad, it could be very easy for a lot of people to just be like, just give it to me.
Right.
You know?
Especially if someone's, again, as you said, in your face.
Annoying you, like, every freaking 15 minutes, like, so I can totally see. So I'm so blessed that we got to do, like, have her at home. So I was able to really have that natural experience, for sure.
So, 2:30-ish, doula texts the nurse,
Yes.
and nurse says, I'll be there in an hour.
Yes.
And at that point, doula and I asking you, do you feel like your water broke?
Yeah.
Because, like, we can't tell. I'm trying to do an examination, a husband examination on you.
Oh, yeah, didn't you stick your fingers to you feel baby's
twice.
head? Yeah, twice. Yeah.
And I feel stiffness in there, and I'm like, I've never felt that there, so I don't know. Maybe that's that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the baby's head. I'm not gonna poke too hard because Don't know. I'm not gonna stick my baby's head with my finger too hard.
Yeah, right? So you just don't know.
So I don't know. At that point,
totally forgot about that.
Is there a bunch of gushing? We're told that you're gonna feel gushing. It's gonna feel like a lot of gushing, and you're like, yeah, I'm feeling gushing.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I guess your water broke. Don't know. Again, like,
because I'm like peeing.
I'm not the trained professional here. I am your husband. I've never been through a birth before, so
you did great.
Doing my best. So in my mind, your water broke at that point, and that's what we conveyed to the nurse.
Yes, and because, like, I'm feeling wetness, but, like, again, like, first time mom, like, I don't necessarily know shit about shit, right? So, like, this is my first birth. Now, in retrospect, as things were happening, I was like, oh, that's what they meant. Because as soon as, like, they're telling me all these things, right? And they're giving me very specific, precise instructions. But again, just like anything in life, if you have not experienced it personally, like, the best teacher in the world is experience. Like, there's nothing better than experience to teach you about shit. So, like, because I didn't know how any of this stuff would play out, they're saying things to me, and I'm thinking, they're freaking crazy. Like, what are they talking about? Right? And, of course, I'm just irrational because I'm in pain, you know, so I'm like, what are you talking about?
Of course.
In my head, you know, like, I would not verbalize that. But I was just like, what do you mean? And so, long story short, though, not long story short, but in short, my water had not broken, just, you know, spoiler alert, as we thought it did.
Right.
And the nurse gets here, and she performs an examination.
Yep.
A cervical examination, because I had opted not to do it, like, before, like, in office, right? Because you can, you know, deny or accept any form of medical care that you want, ladies, just so everyone knows. Like, there isn't anything that you have to do. So I had decided to opt to wait on it, so I had her check my cervix. And did she say how far along I was dilated at that time?
At that time, she stated that you were between 6 and 8 centimeters.
Okay.
Later in the morning, she said that you were probably around 8 centimeters dilated at that point, and we'll get to why that was later.
Yes. So, because this was very painful, very long. And so she does the cervical examination, and my water breaks.
Right. She pokes around, says, hey, that's your water. And when she's finished, your water breaks.
Yes, and I understood exactly what she meant. Because she was asking, like, did your water break? Does it feel like it could fill up a shoe? How much it does? Is it feel like gushing? And I you know,
my shoe size for sure. Of course, it could fill.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. Little did I know I was like probably peeing on myself or something. But anyways, the water broke, and then she says the contractions are gonna get more intense, and they were already so intense to the point where I wanted her to come. You know what I mean? To the house so soon, and I was just like dreading it. I was like, oh no.
So at that point, we went back to the old fetal position on your left side,
Which doesn't
laying, and your contractions just completely stalled out. They were coming every 8 minutes or so. We tried to get you leaned up against the wall, squatted down, didn't do anything. We got you sitting on the toilet, and then we started to get contractions about every 3 to 5 minutes.
Yes.
And they started to get more intense.
Yes.
And
so intense. Like I was like blacking out. I feel like intense. Not literally, but like it's just a blur.
At that point, it was kind of like a conscious understanding between doula, nurse, and myself. I don't know if it was verbally said, like, we gotta speed things up now. But it was kind of like this complete understanding between us.
It's okay, Dad's
where
clapping. It's okay.
we were
You're
going to
staring
need
at
to
your
start
claps.
speeding things up. And at that point, we're like, we're going to do squats.
Oh yeah, those were so bad, but they were working. Like every single time you guys made me squat and you were holding me,
Right.
like I had a really intense contraction, and it was excruciating.
We would wait till you were going into a contraction
Yes.
and make you squat
Oh.
going into the contraction.
Yeah, so bad.
Again, like,
So
my
bad.
back is on fire as I'm holding your whole body weight
For hours.
for an hour, maybe two, going in and out of these. But again, I'm like, my back's burning, but I can only imagine what your cervix feels like right now.
Pain. So
Like, I
much
can just suck
pain.
it up. I'll just deal with my numb back right now. And it gets to a point where, interesting side note, the smell was the same smell of the baby when the baby came
Oh,
out, which
so weird.
makes so much sense.
So cool. So
at that point. But like, while you were bending down doing the squats, I could smell the strong musky smell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you baby.
Yeah, you.
And that was what our baby was smelling like, because that was the waters that the baby was inside. It gets to a point where you are just screaming. So it's gonna be like, and the nurse is like, okay, we're gonna go into the water now. And so I tap out between the doula and the nurse, and I go start getting the water
Water
heated up, all the water set up. And I don't know if you remember much of anything to fill in while I'm filling up the water.
Yeah, so essentially, like, you're just, doing the water thing, and I'm, like, sitting in the pool, and essentially I'm just having contractions still, honestly. Like, I don't remember if anyone was actually even rubbing my back at that point. Like, I think the nurse and the doula were kind of maybe taking turns at rubbing my back, but I just was having the worst contractions. Yep. Like, I started, like, almost seizing up my body. Like, during the contractions, you want to relax, you want to relax the body so that the baby can move safely through the vaginal canal.
To breathe through.
Yeah, you want to breathe through it. It's not really something you want to resist, but I was experiencing a lot of resistance on my contractions for some reason. Like, at the time, like, my body would tighten itself, and my hands would, like, seize up, and it was so peculiar. And there wasn't like my conscious mind, like no matter like breath work, meditation, like was helping my body not to seize up. And my nurse was reminding me, like, hey, like, relax your bottom, relax your bottom, relax your bottom. And that was very helpful to say. But for some reason, like, my body just was not responding.
Yep. You were in that pool probably between, I want to say, 5:30 a.m. until about 7:40 in the morning.
2 hours.
And, like, the whole time, my big focus is trying to keep the water warm for you, so I'm siphoning water out, then putting more water in, and you're looking at us while you're contracting, saying things like, will anyone help me?
Oh, that was the funniest thing that was happening.
It was, while it was happening, there's a couple of things. One, there was a statement of saying, what did I do to deserve this?
Yeah, I did. I don't remember saying that, but that's something that Michael remembers, which I think is really cool, because I don't remember saying that. And I was in that much pain.
It makes me think of, there's a verse in the Bible about when Eve eats the apple, that God smites Eve and says, now you will feel pain through childbirth. And then in that moment, whenever Jill says, what did I do to deserve this? Like, I can't be snarky and say that, but immediately that comes to my head of like, you ate the damn apple.
It was really funny in retrospect. Like, I think if you would have said it while it was happening, I would have actually laughed. But, like, who knows? Like, I didn't even remember saying it, so maybe I wouldn't even remember.
Yeah, I don't know if you would have understood what I was saying.
Yeah, I was to that point where, like, the doula and the nurse also had told me, like, sometimes, like, people get nonverbal, and I just wasn't expecting to be nonverbal. You know, like, they're telling me, like, oh, this can happen, you can go internal, and I've been present to 2 births before, you know, from the same person, and I feel like, I don't really remember, but I feel like hers were way more relaxed than mine, but we'll get to why as well. So we're gonna get to why it was a lot more intense as we go forward, but I did not know I was in there for almost 3 hours in that water. That's how much pain I was in.
You were also,
I just didn't remember.
The other funny thing was, like, the appeal to humanity type of argument. While you're, like, in pain, you're looking around. Will no one help me?
That is the funniest thing. And so the reason I was saying that was because I really wanted someone to, like, massage me. But here's the thing. I was really enjoying the electric massage gun, right. But they can't use an electric massage gun while I'm in a tub of water.
Which is really funny, because before you went into labor, you looked at me and you said, please don't electrocute me, Michael.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go into the tub.
Because I knew I was going to go in the tub.
And you said, please don't electrocute me.
I knew I was going to go in the tub, and I knew I was going to want, like, the electric, like, massage gun. So I was just thinking, like, I hope no one electrocutes me.
So we didn't. We knew we couldn't do that. The doula and I tried our best to massage your feet, your back.
Yes,
there's a lot of not there.
Yeah, like, because when you're in, you know, for all my mamas who've been in labor, you might know, but, like, also for mamas who are gonna be in labor, you get really nonverbal, and, like, so there's only, like, really certain, like, quick little things you can say, right? So it's not like I can give you precise instructions on where exactly to rub me. It's like, if you touch me this area, I say, no, not there, or, you know, do something, and I'm like, yes, there, you know, so.
And all my dads, you're gonna get yelled at. And you just have to take it on the cheek. Because once your baby's born, everything melts away. You're like, what happened? Didn't matter. Doesn't matter.
But, so, I was in there for 2-something hours. I vaguely remember it. Honestly, the most thing that I remember from being in the pool at that point was seizing, because it was just so excruciating. And I do remember asking them to help me. And when I said will no one help me, it was literally in reference to massaging my body, but it's not like, you know, telepathy. We didn't develop a telepathy type of bond, you know, pre-labor, which could have conveyed that to them, of exactly, like, what I meant by that, but that is what I meant.
So, around 7 a.m., nurse says, midwife's on her way. She'll probably be here in the next hour. When she gets here, we're going to transfer to the bed, do some guided pushing, and at that point you said, yes, I really want that.
Yes, I
because your body was definitely telling you something was up, that you needed help.
Yeah, I also think that could be another reason subconsciously why I kept saying help me, because I just didn't know what my body needed, and obviously like, something was wrong. Like, I was just like, it doesn't seem right. Like, something's going on. Like, I don't feel right to push. Like, it just did not seem like, something just seemed off, right?
Definitely.
So I was really excited.
I could kind of tell that mood was going on with the nurse, but there's also like a level of professionalism that they have to handle around us, where they're not going to tell us something that might freak us out.
Exactly.
Because they don't know what kind of people we are. If they were to tell us something, if we would go into full meltdown mode and be like, oh no, we got to go to the hospital right now.
Yeah.
We're not that kind of persons. But that's totally fine. I fully respect their absolute professionalism.
No, they were incredible.
In the whole situation.
They were incredible. Absolutely amazing. I don't even know if it's like even to the point of the hospital thing, because obviously, like, if that was needed, they would have taken care of it.
Right.
Because that is their job.
Right.
It was more so they wouldn't want to give us any information that could cause anyone to go into panic.
Right. Because if I were to go into panic and be like, I need to take my wife to the hospital.
Yeah, and then you freaking out or something. But they just didn't,
get this guy out of the room.
Yeah, but it worked out so well. And, they're just absolutely incredible team. And I just remember when the midwife walked in, I just felt like a weight lifted. Like, I saw her face and she was like glowing like an angel. I was like, oh, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And I just remember they were like, the nurse was like, okay, we're going to transfer to the bed, do an exam. Do you want another sports bra or something? Because mine was wet from the pool. I just took it all off. I'm like, nude it is. Titties out. Let's go. I was like, no, I don't need one. And I just get into the bed, and I don't really remember exactly what happened. I think she did a cervical exam.
Yep.
And then she said something about pushing.
Right. We're going to do some guided pushing.
Yes,
now.
and I was just like, I looked to her and I was like, what position do you want me in? Because again, like, throughout my whole labor, I was really thriving when people were giving me instruction, which maybe some people don't thrive that way, but from my experience, I just really loved being told what to do. Yep. I was just like, tell me exactly what you want. You want me to do a squat? I'll do a squat. You want me to do a backflip? I'll do a backflip. Just tell me what you want and we'll make it happen. Because if you would have left me to my own devices, again, I would have just laid on my side the whole time. I'd be like, don't move me. So I looked to her and I was like, what position should I be in? And she's like, anyone you want, because there's hundreds of different positions women can labor in. Like, you just, on all fours, on your side, whatever. So I just opted to kind of be semi-upright on my back because I just didn't want to move.
Almost like what it's not classic hospital, but current classic hospital pose you were in.
Yeah, like kind of on my back. Yeah,
without the stirrups.
Yes, but I kind of did the stirrups because the girls are badass. So the nurse and the doula actually literally brought my legs like to my face. So one on one side of me, one on the other, bringing, hi baby, are we waking up? Are we loud? Bringing my knees to my chest. So, and then what did we do? We began pushing. Is that what started happening?
Yes. Began pushing, and right then is whenever I think the nurse really knew, the midwife really knew something was up. Didn't quite let us in on it.
Well, you can't because we're in the middle of pushing. Like, there's not like a time where you can just be like, hey, this is exactly what's going on. Like, her main priority is making sure we're safe.
100%. And I wasn't really involved with that because my priority was I have to empty out the cold water and put hot water in here because I was told that I needed to have
hot water.
the pool at 101 to 104 degrees for baby to be delivered in. So for about 15 minutes, I was focusing on running back and forth, working on. I had pots on the stove, I had water in the kettle, and I was filling this thing up with as hot water as I can while I was also removing the cold water while siphoning it out.
Yes.
And there came a point when I noticed I think she's gonna have the baby in the bed. So I went outside and I just turned everything off and I grabbed your phone and sat at the foot of the bed with the phone, and that's when the midwife started to really get inside of you with her hands, because
Yeah, so while Michael was working on the pool, because, you know, he was under the impression I was going to get back into the pool to give birth to our baby, I was on the bed pushing, and I'm so happy that that's how it happened. So, just side note, I remember being on the bed and thinking in my head, please don't make me go back to the pool. Like, I just did not. I wanted to give birth on the bed. Um, I actually had a vision of myself giving birth on the bed. You know, months before, I had talked to my doula before. I was like, I'm planning a water birth, but for some reason, I have a vision of giving birth to baby on the bed. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm pushing, and they're checking baby's heart rate, you know, and what I can remember is my midwife just pulling, like putting her hands inside me and like pulling things down, and she was asking me to hold my breath to push into my butt, which if you go online and you look at anything, they're going to usually tell you not to do that. So to me it was very counterproductive. However, in this very particular case, baby was actually having a really hard time getting down the birth canal, because my pelvis was small and like almost too small for baby. So the midwife was actually like sticking her hands like inside me, I guess. Like, Michael, you saw it, right? So like I felt discomfort and pain.
yeah,
But you saw her like
right,
really putting her hands and pulling down.
yeah,
She was pushing on my perineum to prevent any tearing, ladies, just in case you know need to know any of that. Pressure on the perineum while you're pushing will prevent tearing. So she was doing that for me, and the nurse was actually monitoring baby's heart rate. And as it was happening, there was a moment where, you know, the midwife was like, Jill, like, baby's heart rate is not where it needs to be. Like, we have to push through this. We have to get baby out. And, you know, in that moment, like, I was just like, I was so tired. I had been up for hours. I'd been laboring for hours. Like, I'd thrown up. Oh, yeah, I didn't even talk about the throw up. Like, during transition, like, I threw up
yeah.
a ridiculous amount.
Oh yeah.
Like, all the food that I had eaten. I'm so happy I ate throughout my whole labor.
I have an iron stomach. I won't throw up.
I thought.
5 minutes later.
That's what I thought. I don't usually throw up. Like, I could literally eat a whole pizza and like go on a roller coaster and be super chill. No, like I threw up so much throughout my whole labor, and I'm just so blessed I was home so I could eat. That way I wasn't like dry heaving, you know, like I was throwing up like my protein shakes and my beef jerky and my granola bars and all the things that were sustaining my energy. If I would have been somewhere else, I don't think I would have had energy for that. So I'm very lucky. And so I'm pushing, and I had to hold my breath when I'm pushing her out. And it was probably like the longest. Like, I just remember pushing, and like my midwife would be like, more, and I just every moment, like I was just like right to the end of like letting go of breath, because I would just feel like, holy crap, like I've never pushed or held my breath for this long ever in my life, you know. And every moment that I would push, I just would remind myself, like, I can go more, I can do more, I can do more, I can do more. And my doula was telling me it was so scary, like looking at me when she was holding me, because my face was turning purple. And I was like, what? My face is turning purple? Like, I don't know. And I'm like praying during it also, by the way, because at that point, like I knew it was more of like an emergency situation. It was like, I have to get her out, or like there is no other option. Like, she has to come out. Like, I have to just muster up every ounce of energy that I have, otherwise it could be very bad. So, we're pushing, and then I felt her head. It was so crazy, and like during the pushing period, like I feel like I got so serene in my mind, like maybe not out loud. I was like groaning and yelling and pushing, but in my head, it was a really weird, serene feeling where I was just like thinking calm thoughts, if that makes sense. So like as she's crowning, I'm praying, and as she's crowning, I'm feeling her head, and I'm thinking, oh, this is what they're talking about when they're talking about the ring of fire. Like I'm having these super relaxed, all put together calm thoughts in my head as the baby is coming out. And then I remember the head, and they're telling me like, oh, the head is out, like so
Yep.
good. And you're watching all of this happen,
Yep.
taking pictures.
Yep.
And
First,
yep.
first it seems like the scalp came out,
Yeah.
and then it was, it seemed like contractions paused for a second.
Yeah.
Right after the scalp came out, they're like, "You need to push." You're like, I don't feel like I need to push right now." They're like, "Okay, take a few breaths, wait until the next contraction comes," and right after the scalp came out, like that took the longest in that laboring position, was just getting the scalp out, because midwife had to line up your pelvis, your cervix, and your vaginal canal in a beautiful three-way position for baby's scalp to come out. At that point, the next push, head comes out, and
Hi, baby girl.
while the scalp was just sitting there waiting for the head to come out, I'm like sitting there thinking like, it's so crazy. Baby doesn't need to breathe oxygen. Baby's getting all the oxygen through the umbilical cord right now, because like if baby needed to breathe, baby can't breathe right now. And so next push, baby's head comes out, and when the baby's head comes out, baby's head should be facing down toward the ground. And if that is the case, that's usually how the most comfortable position for labor is, for the baby to be in that position. If the baby's head is facing the ground, it's for me, it was one of the most wild things to see. And while it's happening, the midwife says the baby's head's about to completely do a 180-degree turn, and it's completely normal. And I see why she prefaced it with "it's completely normal," because while it's happening, you're like, what is going on? My head can't turn 180 degrees, but what's really happening is the body of the baby's completely turning 180 degrees inside.
So it come out.
It's not just the head turning 180 degrees. But from the outside perspective, it looks like the head's just turning from downward the whole way upward. And then once the head's out, midwife's able to reach inside of you, because now it's just the neck right there, and it's a little bit easier for her to reach inside of you. And on the next push, she's able to pull the shoulders out, and no more than 30-40 seconds from once the head's out, whole baby's out. You started crowning at 8:41.
Yeah.
Head was out 8:42. Baby was out 8:43.
Yeah, in the morning, and then we put baby right on my chest, and it was absolutely magical.
Yep.
It was wild. It was absolutely wild. And then I delivered the placenta,
Yep.
which it was having a hard time coming out, so I got a shot of
Pitocin.
So, and the placenta came out.
Yep.
So good.
And
But
we had our bed set up for the whole labor process. We had a sheet, we had
plastic
shower
covering.
curtain, then we had another layer of sheets. So the idea was we rip the shower curtain and the set of sheets off, and we'll have a fresh set of sheets underneath, and we can
They're puppy pads too.
And puppy pads, and we could all go to bed
Yeah.
right afterwards. And that didn't work out. During the whole process, everything got ripped up. So be completely prepared for things just to go a little bit differently than expected. We ended up having to pull the sheets off, soak some blood up off of the bed straight up, put puppy pads down, and put new sheets down before we could even get back into bed comfortably again. But
yeah. But the team did all that, so that
yes,
was really great. Like that was part of like what they did as a service for us. They helped, they cleaned, they did all the things. They were absolutely incredible.
it was. It was very, very nice. White glove service.
Yeah, it was so
What
good.
it's very similar to.
It was
that.
so good.
They came in, they took care of all the mess that we made over the past 40 hours,
Yeah.
and they left making sure that we had water, if we wanted food, anything, that we were taken care of, and that we could literally just lay in bed,
With the baby.
ogle the baby, and fall asleep.
Yeah.
And that's about what happened. I think we were up for
Hi,
1 or 2
sweetheart.
hours
What's the
more,
What
and
is it?
then fell asleep for 4 or 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Woke up. We were up until maybe 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Had the baby feed a few times, and then we went to sleep, and no one woke up. Baby didn't wake up. Mom didn't wake up. Dad didn't wake up until like 7 o'clock in the morning.
We had a nice long sleep.
And we woke up and we're like, oh no, the baby slept the whole way through the night. Is this okay? It's completely normal.
For the first night.
For the first night.
It's traumatic, guys. It's not only traumatic for the mommies, it's traumatic for the babies. They need rest.
Now, the baby might wake up more. They might not. They might sleep 7, 8 hours straight through the night. And the first night, again, we were up for 40 hours through the whole 48 hours through the experience. Baby was also basically awake in utero
That whole
same
time.
period of time with us, because while labor's going on, baby's getting pushed, contracted, then relieved, then contracted again, relieved, contracted again. So the baby is just as tired as you are whenever the baby comes out. And also, it's cold out here.
Yeah, it is cold out here, so they need all the cuddles. But I'm just like so blessed and so happy about our experience. We had such a wonderful birth experience. I had such a good time, like overall. Like no matter, because like I said, like at the beginning, like I never really felt like I hit a point where I couldn't do it. Like it was like if we were doing 1 through 10, I feel like I was at a 9.5, even though I was screaming the whole time. Because while I was pushing, all I was thinking about was I could handle more. I can handle more.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, while you were in the pool for those 2.5 hours,
That was the worst part.
because the baby was hitting a wall.
Yes.
Like that was physically causing your body to
seize.
like toss your hands up and like, just completely like flex your muscles and just be in one solid spot until the contraction was over. And we're trying to tell you breathe through it, but there wasn't really any breathing through it, because what's happening is like your nerves are telling you something is wrong.
Yes, the baby just like wasn't making it through that canal.
Exactly.
And honestly, if we would have been in a hospital, they would have performed a C-section.
Right.
You know, and that's like, I mean, I totally get it. Like, I get their perspective of like wanting like to keep mom and baby safe, but at the same time, like we are safe. And we were able to do a completely natural home birth.
Yep.
So to me, that just shows you, like, you know, every single, like, it isn't really necessary all the time. I definitely think a lot of unnecessary C-sections are performed for women, especially in hospital. But I also do really appreciate them when they are needed. And they are needed a lot of time because they can save lives.
Right.
So, but I'm really blessed and lucky that we did opt, just for our experience, to be at home, because if that would have happened anywhere else, I don't think they would have done as much as my midwife did for me. And
Hands down.
Hands down. Like,
hands down.
she's
You would have
incredible.
either been cut vaginally or cut to pull baby straight out
Like
of the
what's it
uterus.
called, an episiotomy?
Yes.
Where they cut your taint.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't have to do any of that. Like, my midwife actually made sure that I didn't tear by when I was pushing. She would press her hand against my perineum to prevent tearing.
And she put lubrication around.
Yes, and she put lube on, so like it helped. Like, badass, so great, like amazing, so good. We had
So good.
We had such a good experience.
Yep.
Yeah, now we have a perfect little baby girl. Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about the entirety of the experience?
10 out of 10. Would absolutely highly recommend doula all the way. If I could, I'd get 2 doulas so that way I could get a couple more hours of sleep. But that's just selfish me.
Or practical.
Or practical me. Because alert dad is really good dad. But absolutely highly recommend a doula. If you want to go to a birth center, if you want to have the midwife experience, it's hands down a lot. I would have to say it's a lot nicer because the moments that we did have to, throughout your whole pregnancy, go into a hospital, people just weren't as nearly as nice as going into the birth center and working with the midwife, the nurse, and the doula that we had. And we really lucked out. We really lucked out with the midwife that we selected.
That's true. That's true. Well, I did extensive research to make sure I picked the one that I picked for this reason, because in case of an emergency, which they're all trained, like midwives, like have years of trained experience for emergency stuff. So, it's not like they don't have experience. They are trained medical professionals. But absolutely love her. Like, so good.
Yep. So, I would birth at home again.
Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, I'm ready. Like, Mike says 6 months. We have to wait.
Well, that's whenever Dr. Google says that
Dr. Google,
you'll start fertilizing again.
So. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But absolutely wonderful. And now, that I've had the experience, I don't know if it'll be easier, but at least it'll be maybe easier to understand what's happening to my body, right? So, like, I'll definitely know if my water breaks or not. I'll definitely know, like, that I don't even know about anything else. I'll definitely know about the water. I was going to say about pain levels, which, I mean, I might, like, know a little bit more about pain levels. But you also, like, because you've had that experience with watching my body language, you might even be able to tell more,
100%.
So, like, during the second time, like, just because you know how I acted in the first time, you might know more.
I'll be able to know when your water breaks.
Yeah, for sure. Now we'll definitely
I'll be able to be like, it hasn't broken yet. Or, oh, that was your water break.
Yeah, right? And we also learned a lot more tricks that are helpful, like the massage gun. Oh my goodness, like, I did not think I was gonna like that during labor. It was incredible. It was saving grace.
Labor combs.
Oh, the labor combs, yes, so good. I had bruises on my hands because I was squeezing them so hard during pushing.
Labor combs, highly recommend. Acupressure balls,
yes,
for massaging the lower area of the back.
Did we use that?
We didn't use it because we just used the gun.
Okay.
And the gun was one and done shot. It was doing the trick. We didn't worry about much anything else. Absolutely highly recommend a what kind of gun is that called again? Anyways, just a massage type gun.
Wall?
It's a wall percussive massage type gun. Highly recommend that.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah, I think at one point I was even thinking about, because I don't like the TENS unit, just full disclosure. However, during labor, those were one of my thoughts. Did I say that out loud? Or was it a
You
thought I had?
did state, you said, would the TENS unit help? And we tossed it back and forth, but it just kind of like melted away through the contractions.
Because the massage gun was the best. But that was just something I considered, and that's how much pain I was in. Because I genuinely do not like the TENS unit just in my regular life. And I was in so much pain, I was like, is the TENS unit going to help? Like,
right.
I was so willing. I was just like, use it.
I think we just stated, like, the TENS unit might even speed up your labor more.
Yeah.
Which it would.
Yeah. It was wild. Absolutely wild. But it's such a fun experience. It was super fun. And the entire time, I was just like, as it was getting more and more intense, I was just thinking, like, it's going to get worse than this. Holy crap. It's going to get worse than this. Did I verbalize that sometime? I think I did. I just remember, like, I know I thought it. Like, as contractions were happening, I was thinking, oh my goodness, it's going to get worse than this. Holy crap.
There's one moment where you said, I don't know if I can do this, but you kind of answered yourself pretty immediately after.
And said, yes, I can.
They're saying, I can do this, I can do this,
I did a lot of affirmations. I literally laid in bed and was like, it's going to be okay. I literally would say it over and over. I was like, it's going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I can get through this. I will be fine. And that is what, like, saved me. Like, affirmations out loud telling myself that I was going to be okay was amazing. And then, like, internally praying. Like, I literally called on my ancestors and guides throughout the whole pushing experience. I was, like, drawing light blue healing pentagrams in my head, calling on my angels, being like, assist me in, like, helping the pain to push the baby out. And when that was happening, like, on the real, like, that's when my thoughts got super calm. So I feel like it helped, which was a really trippy experience. It was pretty cool.
Loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. 10 out of 10 would do again.
For sure.
Highly recommend.
Got us our wonderful little baby
Our
girl.
perfect little baby girl. Oh my goodness. How does it feel to be a parent? How does it feel to be a dad?
Chill.
Right? Okay, chill. All right.
Chiller than I expected.
Way chiller, way easier. Like, I mean, we're newbies, guys.
Pump the brakes there.
Yeah, I was like, we're newbies. We're 10 days in, we don't know shit about shit, but it feels supernatural.
Once baby can walk, once they're teething, we'll have a little bit better idea.
Nah, I think it's gonna be fine.
I think so too.
I think we're really good at it.
That's also.
I'm also
possibly
biased.
True. Definitely true. If you go into it knowing that this is something that you want to do, you're gonna have a lot better outcome.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
everything how you view it, how you handle it. Even waking up in the middle of the night. Some nights I'm a little bit more attentive.
You've been doing great. We're on like a cool little what do we do? Our routine.
Babies don't like their diapers changed or having their clothes pulled off of them. So if it's the middle of the night and baby's kind of half awake, ready for feeding, but not right there yet, we change the diaper. Mom uses the bathroom, and then we feed the baby.
Yeah.
And then we all go back to sleep.
And it's really great. We're on a great routine. We're like, Dad'll get up, Michael, you'll change a diaper while I'm peeing and getting something to drink. And then I'll get back in bed and put baby on boob. And then once she's done eating, then we'll all go to sleep.
Right.
Like, it's a good routine. It's nice. It's a nice balance.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So that's how we've been kind of, like, working through, like, I wouldn't even say sleeplessness. Like, I mean, I wake up a couple times to feed her because she has to eat throughout the night. But I don't necessarily feel sleepless or anything. Like, we get plenty of rest. I go back to sleep immediately after that, and so does she. And then I did take 2 naps throughout this week, or maybe more than that, with her when she was napping.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Get your sleep in when you can, when the baby's sleeping. If you didn't get enough sleep during the night, get a nap in during the day.
Yeah, you only need one. Like, that's the thing. Like, when people are like, oh, I can't sleep when the baby sleeps, or like, Like you think it's like irrational. It's like just one time, like just at least like once. Like it doesn't have to be every day. Like sometimes for me, it's only like a 15-minute quick nap. When she's like laying there, when she's napping, but that's better than nothing. And it really does help. Usually, I've been trying to do that, I don't know, sometime in the later afternoon. So, sometimes like afternoon. So, like anytime between like 1 to 3 is when I've been kind of scheduling in a quick little nap. It's been helping.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else?
How do you feel being a mom?
Me? I feel amazing. I feel really great. It's it's out of this world. I guess is the word I would use, the verbiage I would use. It's something that I didn't really think I could feel or experience until I began experiencing it. Like I was just like concerned. I'm like, am I gonna be good at it? And I am. Like I feel really good at it. Like I feel like happy. And do you want to talk about stuff that we used? The
Sure.
arnica and stuff? Okay. So Mike just pulled down some of the arnica and little tinctures and stuff that we had on our shelf because it's something that I opt to use during labor. I feel like it helped. Do you feel like it helped when I took it?
I'm going to go with a hard maybe.
Hard maybe. Okay. Well, maybe is better than a no. So, could try it. So, I found a brand of homeopathic medicine. It's called, is it Best Made? Or Better Made?
Best Made.
Best Made. I heard about it on a mom podcast for like a home birthing or something, or like natural birthing. This homeopathic doctor, and she recommended it. And so I got the Arnica 200C. Is that the
Right.
one? So I got the Arnica 200C, and that's the one that's specifically for labor. They also have one that's a 30C, and that one would be for more physical pain, like cuts,
Right.
cuts and scrapes.
Which we found out a week before labor.
Yes.
Because I took the full
Yes.
dose of the 200C,
6 of
and
them.
I looked at you and I was like, I feel like I took an edible.
Yeah,
right
like
now.
you're super high off the arnica. Oh my god. And it was just so funny because I'd only taken it, I took it a few times before labor. Like, I took like 3 at once, and I felt a little like loopy, like, ooh. But, I didn't feel that high because I didn't take 6. I only took 3.
But I say hard maybe during labor, but after labor.
Oh, after labor it helped.
Definitely helped you
With
the first
pain.
couple of days utilizing that, as well as padsicles.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. That is something I highly recommend if you are thinking about, if you're pregnant, if you're going to have a baby, if you're thinking about having a baby, padsicle it up. My doula and Michael also made them, and I just took a pad and literally just put witch hazel and rubbed some aloe on it, rolled that shit up, froze them. Oh, so good. So nice.
Peri bottle.
The Peri bottle, I didn't know I was going to need that. Amazing. So, like, when you give birth and you're peeing afterwards, it stings. It's like a burning feeling. So, what you want to do with the Peri bottle is you squirt it. It's like a bidet, essentially, a handheld bidet. And, like, you squirt it on your vulva, like, before you start peeing. So that way, when you do pee, it's, like, naturally cleaning it off immediately. So, it prevents infection and the stinging that would happen with the urine on your freshly wounded vagina.
Nipple cream.
Oh god, nipple cream. Whew. So if you're gonna be breastfeeding, it is essential. I did not know how much I was gonna need it. It is so helpful. Like, it's got like calendula and different stuff in it, so that's gonna help with like inflammation and just pain.
Yep.
And it is so soothing. Like, I don't like the first couple of days of breastfeeding were excruciating. You just have to kind of push through it. Like, I can understand why moms give up or just don't do it.
Right. The first 2 to 3 days is just colostrum, which really doesn't look like much of anything coming out of your nipple. But baby really only needs like
drops of it.
Drops of it. I think the first day they only need like 10 milliliters. Second day is like 15 milliliters, and the third day is 30 milliliters of colostrum that they need, which is hardly anything. And then you go into transitional milk, which is going to be a golden milk looking substance that comes out. So it really takes 3 days. The first 3 days, it doesn't seem like anything's happening, and
No.
then it seems like, oh, milk's coming out, but the whole time the baby's getting colostrum, which is really good for their whole system. It helps push all the myocum out of their digestive tract, uh, and then it's milk after 3 days. Uh, Other things that I think would be highly recommendable, and with the nipple cream, make sure you're looking into what ingredients are in it. Make sure it would state something that it's safe for mother and for baby. That would be a high recommendation. Personally, I've been really digging the boppy.
Yeah, you do love the boppy.
It's just like a donut type pillow that makes it really easy to hold baby. So that way your shoulders and your arms don't fall asleep on you while you're holding the baby.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's been like super helpful. I want to touch back on the breastfeeding, just for all my mamas out there who are thinking about breastfeeding or you just started breastfeeding. Again, it was super excruciating for like the first three. I was crying, like I was crying while breastfeeding, and also like Michael said, like you can't really tell anything is coming out like at the beginning. So like a lot of times like you could be breastfeeding and be like, is my baby even eating? But as long as they're latching and they're staying on the boob for like, I don't know, like 10 to 20 minutes or so, and they're doing it like they're latching like every couple of hours, like I would say 3 to 4 hours, like
Yep.
the baby is getting the food.
Yep.
You just can't tell, because that's exactly what I was concerned with, but I just kind of pushed through it. Like we
Right.
didn't buy any formula, like we did not prepare to not breastfeed. Like we knew, I was like, I'm gonna breastfeed. It's just gonna, we're gonna make it work. So I'm like crying in pain, and then also not, kind of concerned, like, is baby getting food? But our nurse came to do a home visit 48 hours after baby was born and weighed baby, and baby was fine. So like babies are obviously going to drop birth weight, because you have to think like they're connected to your umbilical cord, constant source of food. When they come out into the world, like the constant source of food is cut off.
Yeah.
So you have to expect that they're going to lose, what is it, 7 to 10%?
Yeah, the average is 10%.
Okay.
The average is 10%. Ours was around 7%
Yeah.
loss. A lot of it is there's a lot of food inside the baby's digestive tract that
Yeah.
mom was supplying to it, and that is what the myocum is. And FYI, it's sticky like tar.
Yeah.
So another big thing is some people prefer to have like aquifer. We opted to do coconut oil. Works just
Like
as
it's just the same,
great.
if not better.
And personally, I feel it's better for the baby's skin. It's not petroleum based. It's all natural, and we've been using that. And we were recommended by the midwife and the nurse before they left to put that on the baby's bottom and around every part that's inside the diaper, because what was about to come out of the baby would stick on the baby like tar if we didn't have the baby oiled up, and they were right.
Because they're amazing. It's their job.
Exactly. The stuff that came out it's wild. Very sticky, black tar-like substance that comes out of the baby.
Yes. And I also just want to touch on, so something my doula did say a couple of days ago when she came to do her home visit was she was talking about making sure that she conveys to her first time moms like how long the labor process can be and how intense it actually is, because like especially like for someone like me, like I said at the beginning, like I read all these books and watched all these videos, and I thought I was prepared, and I did my hypnobirthing meditations and all that stuff. But you really just don't know what to experience until you're experiencing it, and you can prepare for birth as much as you literally possibly can with everything that you can. But at the end of the day, it's messy and agonizingly painful in the most beautiful way.
Yep.
So, to all my first time moms out there, or people who are planning on getting pregnant, people who are close to giving birth, just know, like, you can do this. Like, you can get through it. Even when it gets so bad you think that you can't, like, I know that you can. And I think that's a big thing in the birthing community. People in the field know, like, when the mom starts kind of throwing up, it's called, like, the transition. And when mom says she can't do something, that's, like, when you know she's about to have that baby. Because it gets to that point. It's, like, a breaking point. There was a documentary I watched way before I was pregnant, but it was, like, called, like, something about, like, the midwife who begged for a C-section, or maybe it was a doula who begged for a C-section. It was something like that, but it was pretty much like their experience, right? So they were a birth worker, and they've seen hundreds of births, but they had never given birth. And then when they had finally given birth, like during her labor, like she was like screaming, like cut it out or something, and she did it. And it's just something that she talks about, like the rock and the hard place. Like you just get to a point where you just have to persevere, and you're gonna do great. It's gonna be great. We can do it. Yeah. Also, postpartum, make sure you're taking care of yourself with your vitamins. I've been taking this homeopathic like mood enhancer, I guess.
Say what it is?
Yeah. Like what is?
Califosforicum.
Califosforicum. Okay.
It's the boron brand that we've got. We also just got another one that is specifically by the boron brand for mood enhancer. It's Ignatia Amara. You can find these right online. If you're Amazon Prime, you can find them right on there as well.
Yeah, and they're pretty affordable too, right? Like
oh yeah,
$8.
Yeah, the tube of the Califosforicum is $8. It seems to help greatly with mood enhancement throughout the day if needed.
Yes.
It's by the Best Made company. It's a little bit pricier, and they sell that one specifically for postpartum. So I found it through the Boron company, which is a very popular brand. They've been in Vitamin Shop for 40 plus years. Oscillocholum is a very popular like cure-all thing that they sell there. But they have a lot of other things online available via Amazon, and the Boron brand sells the Ignatia Amara specifically for mood enhancement postpartum as well. So we're gonna try that one out as well as you've been taking your prenatal vitamins.
Yes, and staying up to date with my prenatals. I'm even taking like stress gummies, which have like I think lemon balm and like L-theanine in it, and vitamin C. So just making sure you're really staying up on your health and well-being, mamas, because it's just really important for you and for baby.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, but that's it. That's all the things.
I think that's it.
All right.
Do your research. Use multiple search engines to find your research information. There's a lot of stuff that we would ask throughout the pregnancy, and we wouldn't get straight answers. And there's actually a lot of information straight from the NIH website if you utilize the right search engines.
Yes, that's true. That is true. If you're looking at like any type of health information for baby and mom.
Right.
Okay. So if that's something you guys are interested in, like highly recommend looking into it.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was our birth experience and our journey into becoming parents. It was really cool. Actually, Michael knew the sex of the baby. I did not. But I did not. I opted to not. So he is a ringing king, keeping that to himself.
Full time.
Yeah. I just remember that putting baby on my chest, I didn't even check the sex of the baby. I just remember like holding her and being like, "You're so beautiful." And then like, I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes went by, and then I was like, someone said something.
It was me. I had seen, and at that point the midwife didn't even look.
Yeah.
No one looked other than me, and someone had said, "We don't even know what the sex of the baby is," and I said, "Oh, this was one of the 99, because 99% of the time, I forget what that test was called, but 99% of the time it's right, 1% of the time it's wrong."
Yeah.
So I said, "Baby's part of the 99%." So
Aww.
it's the same gender as it was tested for, and like that actually surprised the midwife and everyone, because they're like, "You knew the gender of the baby?"
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we told them no one knows the gender of the baby.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, so Michael knew. I did not. I opted to not. So it was just really cool to be like, "Oh, she's a girl." Like, it was just really cool. It was a really great experience. Loved it. Because we had 2 names picked out. We had a boy's name and a girl's name to be prepared. So it was just awesome. Would do it again. But thank you for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and let us know. And yeah, that was our beautiful birth experience.
Woo!
So until next time, thanks for tuning in.